So there is one thing I do want to talk about, because it's always this doom and gloom issue, as you and I are both aware, right? Is the idea that robots are taking all of our jobs. Everywhere you look, it seems like lately there's another article that's popping up and saying robots are going to take all of our jobs by 2030. 80% of the jobs in the U.S. are going to be automated. Farm workers are going to be out of their jobs in the next 2 years, right? Like it's always to this level of like, it's here and it's happening now and everything is going away and time to go grab, your pitchforks and rise up against the robots before everything goes doom and gloom. What are your thoughts on kind of this, portrayal in the media that, robots are here to take everything away from people and people aren't going to be able to afford, a life for their families? Then there's this concept of, taxation on top of these robots.
Okay, the bonfire of the robots issue. It is so completely wrong. Anybody who's developed robots has a much greater appreciation of just how far behind that state we are. I believe there's still fewer than 2 million industrial robots in the world, global total today. And that's with China putting a huge amount of money into it, so that they now have this year become, I think, the world's largest producer of robots, as well as the world's largest consumer of robots, pushing Germany out of the top spot. And yet the sum total, 2 million. Okay? It's going to take quite a while for us to spread sophisticated robotics technology around the globe. And then I think the other thing is to look at certain industries. And you mentioned farm workers. If you were to mention that in an agricultural area, you would have everybody that owned a farm saying, can I have some of those? Because I can't get enough workers. And to look at the labor statistics, almost every country in the world has an aging population problem, and it is worst in rural occupations. So you're pretty much going to have every farmer in the world retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. And at the same time, we're shutting down all of the cheap labor sources and seasonal labor sources that used to be. So how are we going to prevent the world from starving and yet keep food prices, at the level that we expect them to be? And, we really do have to look at doubling food production over the next generation, not just keeping things as they are either. So I see some huge areas where we actually have big problems. We have global challenges that we need to do something about. So whenever people talk about robots as a problem, I stop and I go, well, what are the world's biggest problems? And will robotics have a role to play in solving, fixing, or, making those problems a little bit better? And I think absolutely yes. And if anyone is on the fence, then focus on the ways that we need to solve these problems and think about the creative technologies that we have to put into play to fix global challenges. And I think that's the most productive thing you can do with your time, rather than to, spend it worried or in fear, which first off I don't think is founded. But second off, if you've got that energy, there is a lot of good things that you can do. So focus on those. And and not on that fear.
Well, that's it for today on Udacity's Explores Human-Robot Interaction and Robotic Ethics. Andra, Keay, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Mike.